Hi, everybody. This is Barbara Drazga, and today, just a couple of days before the new year starts, I'm going to share with you some ideas about how I've been learning to finish strong when a year ends and how I put a fresh start on my new year, kind of have that good clean break from the old year into the new. So I'm just going to share my ideas today, and I recommend that you get yourself a notepad and a pen, and I'm going to have some exercises, but it's going to be real casual. You know, grab yourself a cup of coffee and hang out and just kind of jot notes down as they come to you. You don't have to do the exercises as they come up, but I highly encourage you to jot down your thoughts as I kind of go through the things that show you the things that I've been working on towards the end of the year and things I'm planning for in the new year. And they might spur some ideas for your personal life and your business. So you guys know that I am some of you know that I'm a full-time Amazon seller. I'm also an e-commerce seller. I have multiple websites. I sell on and off Amazon, and I sell multiple types of products, both physical products and digital products and training products. So my goal sheets might look a little bit differently than yours, or you may want to learn some of the things I'm learning or that I've learned this year as you move forward. So some things in this webinar will be related to if you're an Amazon seller. Most of it is just going to be related to, excuse me, finishing off your year strong personally and in general as a business owner and an entrepreneur, and then some ideas on how to start your new year fresh, both from a personal and business standpoint. So there are a lot of great trainers, great people out there who teach specifics of which reports to run as an Amazon seller, and that is not what this is about, because there's some really amazing people out there who already do that and can teach you that. This webinar is going to be more a kind of a bigger picture overview. And addressing some common problems that all of us have, no matter what platform we sell on or what business we're in, like overwhelm, for example, and figuring out which project to do next and organization. So these are the things that I'm going to cover. This webinar is by no means all-inclusive to everything that you could do to organize your life. So if you do have ideas on how to organize your business in your life and how to put closure on an old year and start a new year fresh, please put them in the chat. And I'm going to transcribe that chat into maybe an extra bullet point article afterwards, and I'll put this replay with the chat on, I'll probably put it up on dealdivawholesale.com. And if you're not yet on my email list, go to dealdivawholesale.com and you can sign up for the newsletter there. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and clear my throat and get started after I check the chat one last time. Hi, everybody. Does anybody have any initial questions before I dig into finish strong and start fresh? Hi, Todd. How you doing? Hi, Gerald. How you doing? Hi, Ken, Christy. Everybody's great people that I've already recognized, and new people in here too. Fantabulous. Okay, let's just go ahead and dig in. So I am being respectful of your time. So I named this webinar Finish Strong and Fresh Start. And clearly it's about how to finish up a year. Okay, whatever year we're in, how to finish strong. And a lot of people take off that last year between Christmas and New Year's. And, you know, while as an Amazon seller, my sales are down, I'm still feeding the beast after Q4. And I'm doing a lot of reflection and work on my environment and my goals during this week. And I am relaxing a bit, but I can't help but my brain still goes as an Amazon seller, or as an online seller, whether or not I'm in my downtime. So, first of all, to finish strong, here are some of the things that I'm doing. I'm giving myself a lot of reflection time during this week and also into the beginning of January. And by reflection time, I mean no distractions. And there are certain ways that everybody has a way where they get bombarded with creative ideas. And one for me is driving with the radio off, randomly, just driving up to the mountains or driving to the beach or driving wherever, just getting in my car and taking a road trip with no distractions. My brain starts relaxing, and I think maybe the hum of the highway, the hum of the road gets me into this zone where I just start having these creative ideas and connections for things that I'd fed into my brain for the past weeks and months, and then suddenly they all start connecting together. So reflection time, not just at the end of the year, but all throughout the year. It's really important to schedule time to just go relax, get away from your business, and reflect on where you've been, and then it'll help you choose where you want to go. So take inventory of your year. And what I mean by that is not physical inventory of your physical assets, although that's important too, but taking inventory of what you accomplished this year, what you did really well, what maybe you didn't do so well, what you'd like to do next year that you didn't get to this year. So one of my favorite trainers, authors, speakers is Jim Rohn. Rohn is his last name. And actually, he was the precursor to like the Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was actually one of his mentees, right? So he actually worked for Jim Rohn. So Jim Rohn is kind of like the super godfather of productive thought and productive and happy and successful life. So go look up Jim, Rohn, on YouTube and watch a bunch of his videos. He actually has a video, which I bought all of his DVDs. When I discovered him, I just went on a buying binge. And in fact, you should probably do that now before the end of the year. If you're going to buy any of his programs, buy it now because it could be a partial educational write-off on your taxes. Talk to your accountant about that. So Jim Rohn has a goal-setting DVD program that I bought. And he makes you walk through this project, which I'm going to kind of step you through here, asking yourself to list all the things that you did really well. And you had some wins. All right, we're hard on ourselves as entrepreneurs, but admit it, you did have some wins this year. It could be some bundles that you really did super research on. You really took care of putting them together, and they took off, and they're going to be evergreen and add to your bottom line month after month throughout the next year, right? It could be that you learned how to negotiate really successfully with wholesale suppliers, and you got into a rhythm where now you know what to ask the right way, and you're able to score deals with wholesale suppliers that you weren't before. And then you want to ask yourself, well, what did I not do well? And it could be like, well, I really didn't spend enough quality time with my family. I was so wrapped up in doing other things that I kind of neglected my family a bit, or I neglected my hobbies or my friends, or maybe I could have done better with pay-per-click campaigns, or I could have done, for me, one of my biggest fails is I've been saying for a couple years now that I really want to get better at playing guitar. I don't even have calluses on my fingers at this point. And that's a shame because I keep collecting guitars and I haven't made the time. It's not, I'm responsible for my time. I haven't made the time to learn. And the other thing is my language skills. I speak a few languages, English, German, Dutch, and a bit of Italian. And I've always wanted to, I went to Italy a few years ago for 22 days, and my Italian kind of clicked in. And when I came back, I'm like, you know what? I want to make that one of the languages that I'm completely fluent in. And that was a few years ago, and I've not done that. I've chosen in the past few years to invest more time and energy in my businesses, growing my businesses, than in personal pursuits. So I recognize a couple of things in my personal life that I didn't do so well. And I'm not beating myself up about it. I just see that as a milestone to say, okay, well, what can I do? How can I implement a plan in the next year so that I'm actually doing some of the things that will feed my soul? I call it feeding my soul. And then you want to think about what amazing wins did you have? Because you have at least one of them. Everybody does. It could be that you taught your child how to play piano, or you homeschooled, or you and your husband went on the vacation of your dream, or wife, your spouse, okay? Whatever or you learned how to do XYZ, like you learned how to optimize your listings, which increased your sales during Prime Day and Q4 across the board because you learned a new skill. So what amazing wins did you have in this past year? So go ahead and just start jotting things down. I'm going to go over to the chat because I want to make sure this is interactive and that we're all kind of on the same page. Let me come over to the chat real quick. And hi, everybody. Thanks for having. Okay, so nobody's written anything in the chat, so I'm guessing that you're doing some reflection. Perfect. I'm just going to keep going then unless you have questions. I will just keep going. Okay. Created an LLC, opened my Amazon account, started learning Irish Gaelic. Okay, Brian, that is so cool. Hey, if you guys have, put it in the chat, what amazing wins you had this year. So Brian started learning Irish Gaelic, which I just think is really, really cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue my presentation here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so next we're going to talk about, that was personal. Now we're going to do a little exercise. What activities, this is a really, really, really important exercise. I can't say really enough times because we just talked about the wins you had, right? Well, now you have to get kind of down and dirty real with yourself, right? You've got to be brutally honest with yourself. What activities were the biggest wastes of your time, energy, resources in this past year? You're going to have to, you're going to cringe when you write some of these because it could be spending way too much time on Facebook or watching cat videos on YouTube, right? So, and it could be maybe prepping. You've prepped products yourself all year. And, that was a waste of your time because it's something that you can outsource. Or it could be like, for me, it would be, and this is the absolute number one thing I outsourced years ago, and I will never take it back on again. I do not do my own laundry. Not even close to it. I don't even know if the laundry facilities in my garage work, and I don't care. I outsource it. There's a company up the street. I drop it off. It's a dry cleaner. I pay them by the pound, and they hand it back to me all sparkling new, hung on hangers, folded, beautiful. I just hang it up. So why do I do that? Because I realized that laundry was a waste of my time because I so didn't do it very well. So I would put the laundry in. Here's how it would go. So I'd put the laundry in, and then I'd put the laundry in, and then I'd hit the go button, and then 2 days later, I realized the laundry's still in the washer. So I'd go back and have to rewash it, right? Maybe twice, because now it kind of smelled like mildew, right? And then, at the end of the day, I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I remembered the washer, right? So I'll go and I'll put it in the dryer. And a couple days later, I realize it's still in the dryer. And about 50% of the time, I'd go in the dryer and it was still damp. So I'd have to transfer it back to the washer, rewash it all over again, go through this until finally, eventually it made it out of the dryer without smelling onto my couch or my bed in a big pile where it would sit for a while because it needed to be ironed and hung. Everything was all wrinkly since it's been sitting in the dryer so long and on the bed. I realized this was such a colossal, poor use of my time that I finally pay to have it done. And it's done right, and it's done fast, and there's no stress about laundry in my life. I used to do laundry with the concept of if I don't have any clothing left, I have a choice to either do my laundry or buy more clothes. So clearly, I had a fairly large wardrobe because I chose to go out and buy clothes because it's much more fun than doing laundry. So that was the biggest outsource thing for me many, many years ago. I'll never take it on again. So that would have been on my stop doing list because I don't do it well and I really don't like to do it, and it's something I can pay someone else to do. So what's on your stop doing list? Television is a big one. I shut off my cable. It'll be 2 years ago this past August when I started Amazon in 2015. Right before fourth quarter 2015, I decided that, what I found with cable was I would keep switching through all the channels, desperately trying to find something, anything that I would want to watch in order to justify the amount of money I was spending on cable. So I turned it off completely, and I went to rabbit ears and Netflix, of course. And I thought, okay, well, as an experiment, just through fourth quarter, let's see how this lack of cable affects my productivity. My productivity shot up. My very first fourth quarter on Amazon was incredibly stellar. And I thought, okay, well, I never turned it back on again. And now the things that I do watch on Netflix or Hulu or whatever are shows. They're usually I like history shows and biographies and things like that. They're shows that I want to watch. And I don't have to flip through channels through a bunch of junk to find, a channel that is an hour worth of content, but it's peppered with a bunch of commercials that would be brainwashing me. So anyway, I cut the cord a couple of years ago, and I have never looked back, and I do not miss it at all, except for maybe some international television news shows. Okay, but I can get those other on the internet. So television's a big one. Watching, not working enough in my Amazon business. Okay, so what other things can you stop doing in your personal life and your business? So go ahead and grab your piece of paper and your pen and start writing down some ideas for your stop doing list. And you might be stuck. You might be thinking, well, I could still do that. But once you get a stop doing list going and you've got maybe 10, 15, 20 things on there, and you start adding up, like assigning a time of how long you invest in each of those tasks every week or month. And you add it up at the end of the year, and you realize you've lost a month of your year being productive on stuff that you're wasting time on. That's a big wake-up call that these are things you can either completely stop doing or outsource. Okay, so let's keep going. Finish strong. Now, how to finish strong in your business? Actually, yeah, there we go. How to finish strong in your business. That was how to finish strong in your personal. So evaluate numbers from this year. Huge. You need to have some sort of milestone. You need to have an end point and a start point. So you can, it's like a Monopoly game. You want to know that you've improved year over year in your business, right? You want to know that if I earn, X amount of dollars this year, and I want to, now my goal for the next year is to improve that by 30%. Unless you know that number for this year or those numbers, and not only evaluate your number, your one big number, what your net income is, but also evaluate the income from, if you have different streams of income like I do. I want to know which stream of income requires the least amount of work, feeds my soul the most, and is sustainable and is growable. Like I can grow it and scale it over the next year, right? Now, if you're an Amazon seller, you want to know what sold, right? If you're an online seller at all, what sold? And then you want to know, so go through your inventory. If you're an Amazon seller, go through your inventory. Now remember, Q4 numbers are going to be skewed, right? But look at the entire year, because you might have done a bundle earlier in the year that you completely forgot you did, right? But it sold out really fast. So go through all of your inventory and take a look at what sold, and then consistently and fast, and then start reconceptualizing how you can find wholesale suppliers for that product, how you can build a bundle for that product. That'll take you into, have it as an evergreen part of your inventory for the next year. So examine what sold, and then examine what did not sell and why. If you have things left after fourth quarter crazies that didn't sell, and they've been sitting in Amazon's warehouse for a while, you want to ask yourself, why didn't they sell? Is there anything I can do to improve this listing, to send external traffic to it? And if the answer is yes, do it right away. And if the answer is no, you kind of have a dud, which is, it happens, right? It's time for you to liquidate and move on. You want to get as much money out of that as quickly as possible so that you can take that money and reinvest it in some other product that's going to sell quickly and make a profit. Okay, so another thing I'm still doing, because I realized I hadn't done this in the entire year and my hard drive is overflowing with stuff that's no longer relevant. Clean out your computer, your hard drive, your Dropbox files, your images. I have so many images in my, just randomly. And after you've cleaned everything out, then reorganize your hard drive in folders so you can find stuff again. I know this sounds simple and really common sense, but we forget. And throughout the year, we're like, oh, I'll just save that to the desktop. And by the end of the year, you've got the desktop full of files, and you're like, what the heck is this? So take the time. And what I do is I put on a podcast or some webinar in the background and do it while I work on the hard drive and clean everything out while I'm listening to educational material. And that way it's double duty, right? Clear out all old emails, especially during fourth quarter. I have a goal to have no more than 30 emails, 30 in my inbox for me to action. I'm closing in on 350. Yeah, 350. 10 times what I want in there, because during fourth quarter I signed up for all these emails and all these retailers lists, everything, and now it's time for me to pare that out and unsubscribe from stuff and just delete things that I thought I was going to action, or I get a lot of Kohl's emails and whatever, and that stuff is just expired. It's gone, right? So it's time to clear all of that out and start fresh. Create or update your net worth statement. If you don't have a net worth statement, and what I mean by that is it shows everything you own and the value, all your bank accounts and the value, and everything you owe and the value. And it comes down to a number of what your net worth is. What are you worth? What is your business worth? And take into account everything, your vehicles, your computer equipment, your everything, right? As an asset. And write down all of your, if you don't know, here's a wake-up call. Once you know what your debt is And then in one of the columns on an Excel spreadsheet, you write down how much you pay in interest a year maintaining that debt by not paying it off. That's a huge eye opener, right? To not have debt, not have credit card debt. Because if you're paying, if you're using debt and then paying it off every month, that's one thing. But if you're using debt and running a balance and paying interest on that every month, you add all of that up at the end of the year, and that is money in credit card agencies' pockets and not yours. So until you write down everything that you owe and really see it in a spreadsheet, I use a spreadsheet, Excel or Google Sheets to do it. It's kind of an eye-opener, right? And that also gives you a starting point for the new year to know it's like a Monopoly game, right? How can you improve on your net worth in the next year? So buy last-minute business-related items that are eligible for write-off. Again, talk to your bookkeeper or accountant to see what you can write off. Buy gift cards. Because people, I use Raise, and there's a whole bunch of gift card sites, but R-A-I-S-E, Raise is one site. And a lot of people got gift cards for Christmas for stores they don't like. They'll sell them on Raise, right? So there's this influx of gift cards right now, and you can pick up some gift cards for your sourcing and for your personal purchases at a discount, as like right now and into January. So, and also go on to like Craigslist in your area and look for people who are trying to get rid of the gift cards they got for Christmas, etc., that they don't want. Make sure, of course, that you meet them at the store, that you ask for the number on the back, that you check the balance, etc. Okay. So that's how you finish strong in business. Now let's talk about how we get a fresh start. Now I'm going to stop the share because I know I'm going pretty fast over here. And let me get over to the chat and see if you guys, do you have any questions? Do you have any thoughts you want to share? Any questions, any thoughts at all? Just go ahead and put it in the chat. Okay, so what are some of the things that you're going to stop doing in 2018? What are some of your wins for the previous year? Go ahead and put that in the chat so I know you guys can hear me and that you're all here. And it's really helpful. I know that I'm kind of talking fast, but it's really helpful if you kind of play along and if you work along through the exercises, because it's going to help you as you start your new year in a couple of days. Summer water slide, win, made my summer. Oh, very cool. Thank you, Elaine. That's fun. That's fun. Summers in Arizona are 120. So my fun in the summer is to bake cookies on the dashboard of my van. Not kidding. I actually baked an entire salmon dinner with broccolini on the dashboard of my van this 2 summers ago, which was kind of fun. Okay, so whatever your win is, go ahead and put it. You actually got Mark Vandervoort says, I actually got my prep company set up today. Win. Yes, very cool. So you have completely set yourself up for the new year for prep services, which is going to save so much time and so much energy. So congratulations. Very excited for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep going because I've got a lot of stuff to cover and I want to make sure I cover it all for you folks. Okay, so the first 2 weeks of January, I mean, I already started last week, actually probably like the last week of December, right after the Amazon crazies were kind of settling down. I switched into my reflection building mode for about 3 weeks it takes me. So the first 2 weeks of January, theme your year. So here's the theme for my year. And I couldn't come up, if you guys can come up with a better one for me that covers these 3 concepts, let me know so I have a cute little acronym. CVIP, CVIP, create value, inspire, and profit. That's my theme of this year. Okay, so another thing you can do to get a fresh start is clear out your pantry, your fridge. Women, clear out your makeup, right? Get rid of all that stuff, all of the stuff you bought and specials and whatever. Just get rid of all of it, the skincare cream, get rid of all of it. Clear it out because metaphorically, you're starting fresh, beauty-wise. I know this doesn't apply to most of you guys, but there might be some guys in there who wear makeup. That's okay. But clear out your makeup, clothing and shoes. Clear it out. If you haven't worn it in a couple of years, it is either A, you're never going to fit into it, or B, it's out of style. And why not put that in the hands of somebody who's not as fortunate as we are and, give them something to wear. And then when you've lost those 10, 20 pounds, you can go out and buy new clothes, right? So clean out your clothing and your shoes. And then understand and honor your circadian rhythm. So circadian rhythm is this kind of, it runs in the background in our bodies and our psyche that cycles through alertness and sleepiness. And everybody's got a different circadian rhythm. So, which is why I never agreed with the whole concept of working a 9-to-5 job, because some people are more alert in the morning. Some people right after lunch, they're like falling asleep at their desk, so they're not being productive, right? But if you schedule, when you schedule your life and your work around your personal circadian rhythm, then you'll know what time of day you are feeling super sleepy and you're just not going to be productive and can't focus. And you know to schedule something else during that time that doesn't require you to be alert. And then also the times of day when you're super alert and you're just on, you're in the zone. Make sure you schedule those tasks that are, you know, hyper focus required, or you need to be like super alert, that you put them in that time slot during your day. Okay. So how to get a fresh start in business, do an office refresh. Believe it or not, I am completely changing the room in which my office sits. So this room is going to be for something else, and I'm moving my office to a completely different area of the house. I'll probably start tomorrow, and that'll take me a few days to do because I have to switch things around. But and then establish. But if you don't have to. I'm just saying, you don't have to move your entire office, but do an office refresh. So you know, clean up the clutter, move things so that I've got an extra monitor on my desk here that I literally never use. I've got 3 monitors on my desk and one that just takes up space. It's there. And it's been habit for it to be there. So that's going away, for example. And then maybe reorganize where things are located in your office so that if there's something you're always reaching for, like me, it's reading glasses, I want them right there, right? Or if it's a stapler, my stapler is all the way over there. So if I use the stapler more often, I would want to have it within arm's reach. So just some ideas for doing an office refresh. Establish your morning routine. This has been really useful for me. I have protein in the morning. I have my coffee in the morning. I read my emails. I check Facebook. And that's my morning routine. It kind of gives me a minute to kind of wake up. I'll take a walk. Establish a morning routine that works for you and around your family and your circadian rhythm. Set up simple processes to tame the clutter monster. And I am guilty of this, you know, clutter. How many of you, put it in the chat, how many of you sometimes feel like you are drowning in the clutter? Your personal life, your business is just stuff everywhere, and you're like, it slows you down, right? It's like slogging through oatmeal, because every time you walk through your house or your office, you see these piles. And a portion of your brain is going in the direction of, oh man, I got to clean that. Oh, I got to do that. I got to action that. And that is brain power and energy being taken away from tasks that you love to do and that you're more productive at and you enjoy more and feed your soul, right? So taming the clutter, do it now, and then set up processes so right away the things that end up becoming clutter now have a place, everything in its place. Our mom taught us, right? So have a catch-all. I went to I went to Costco a few days ago, and on the end caps they have all these organizational stuff now, and I got 2 rolling file bins with 2 little drawers and 2 wire racks that match with, you know, a file holder and little drawers and everything. So those are going to be my catch-alls for mail, receipts, any paper that comes in. And then another thing, another bin for like stuff catch-all, like the bigger stuff, like the kids stuff, or things that come in that are too big to, maybe it's a box to open or whatever, right? So you want to have a bin for the bigger stuff, and then a smaller holding area just for mail or whatever. But the key is not to let them get overflowing, right? So you want to make sure you schedule, and you can put this in Google Calendar, or if you use a calendar app on your phone, right? You can schedule every single Friday morning to spend 30 minutes going through the catch-all for the paper and the mail and the catch-all for the stuff, right? You can even outsource the catch-all bins, right? So once they get full, if you have an assistant that comes in or someone that helps you, you can hand off the mail and have them process it. If you've got kids or a family and it's their stuff really in that catch-all bin, that stuff bin, then every Friday it's somebody's chore to go through that bin and take it and put it in the appropriate rooms, etc. So that just setting up that one simple process could free you up from feeling just overwhelmed and buried in clutter in the new year. So here's some tools I'm going to implement this year. Now, one of the things I noticed I was doing was, let me just stop the screen share and come over so I can chat with you for a minute. One of the things I noticed I was doing was rewriting my to-do list over and over. Yeah, I would rewrite it every single month. Here's the new one, rewriting it, but not just a to-do list, but let me stop the share here. There we go. So I rewrite I rewrite my list over and over, which is just a colossal waste of my time. It's just silly to do it the way I've been doing it, I realized. So I'm not real big on, sorry about that. So I'm not real big on using like Evernote, or I've just never been able to, there's something for me about writing down my ideas and physically being able to cross them off. There's something really powerful for me to be able to cross them off. So I decided I'm going to try a new, not a new program, but a program called Trello. And it's free for a certain, certain amount of boards or whatever it is. I haven't learned it yet, but Trello is a way to organize projects. So I'm going to try Trello. So one of my first things, probably by Monday, I'll sit down and I'll go through the how to use Trello, beginning videos, and I will make myself put all of these notepads of paper I have in here into Trello. So what tools can you implement in your business and your personal life to help you be more productive? So Slack is another one. Slack is like this communication program, and I'm going to start using that with all of my outsourcers. So I'm not, so everybody has one place where we're communicating. So between Trello and Slack, I'll be using that to get more done through outsourcing, to be able to manage my team better. And then Zapier. Zapier is really interesting. I've not played with it yet, but I did dig into it for the website for about an hour to see all the different connections I can make with Zapier. And what Zapier does is allow different programs to talk to each other and to trigger an action. When something happens over here, it triggers an action over here. So if I message somebody in Slack saying, please do XYZ, and they respond with yes, it'll trigger something in Trello to create a new card showing what they have to do, things like that. So I haven't learned how to use Trello, Slack, or Zapier yet, but those are the tools that I've used, that I've learned, that I've evaluated and decided to use. So I'll be learning those next week so that I can implement it. Get a new organizer, of course. I ordered, I think, 3 different organizers. So each one was a little bit different. And this week I'm going to go down, I'm going to sit with all 3 of them, and I'm going to look at how they lay things out. I've been using the same type of organizer for multiple years, and I think it's a habit. And I think there might be a better way for me to organize my day if I use a different layout. So instead of just falling into my old habit, I'm going to use, find a new organizer that works best for me. Wall calendar, love my wall calendar. I've got one behind me here. And it's just, I like to see I like big. I have a flip chart and a whiteboard, so I like to be able to see a big overview of my year. And then Wave Apps or Xero for bookkeeping. I started with Xero earlier this year, and then I found Wave Apps that lets me do a little bit more, and it's free, even better, right? So I'm going to, first week of January, I will be putting all of my bookkeeping in Wave Apps and getting my bookkeeping done as quickly as possible, like before the end of January. I'm hoping to have all my bookkeeping and hopefully taxes done. So I'm going to head over here to the chat and see where we're at. Okay, so Gerald says, oh yeah, that's me. Gerald, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but cool. Kudos for you for knowing yourself, right? All right, so let's come over here. And do you guys have any questions? I know I've been talking a lot. I want to make sure I'm getting your questions answered. Do you have anything to add? Because this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, things that I'm trying, but there's so many ways that you can organize for a new year, and there's so many things you can do to close out a year with, personally and in business. Share your thoughts in the chat. I want to know what your thoughts are too, so that we can all learn from each other. Okay, so I will cycle back around to the chat, but I'm going to keep going here after I take a little slurp of coffee. Okay, so that's how I get a fresh start in my business. So create sprints and name them. So what's a sprint? A sprint is a short amount of time. So I'm a runner, and I'm not a long distance runner, and I'm not a marathon runner. The best I can do is a 10K. I might try a mini try by the end of the year, but I like running short, hard sprints. Like in high school, I ran the relays, and I was always the final leg of that relay, of that 4-person relay, right, the mile relay, because I love just powering around that track one time. If you put me in a situation where I'd have to do something, the same thing, over and over, long term, like a marathon, that's just not my personality style. What a sprint does for me is it engages my competitive spirit. So sprint could be like a 30-day sprint. So for 14 days, actually my first sprint of the year is going to be to reorganize my entire house. Every single room is getting reorganized, and I have 12 days to do it before I leave for a conference. So my first sprint right out of the gate is for 12 days, I'm going to reverse engineer. I want the whole house reorganized. I've already drawn a plan. I know what it looks like. Now I've reversed engineer out. Every single day, I'll have a 2-hour batch of time that will work on that project, okay? And the fact that I have a deadline in 12 days is, I kind of like it. I mean, look, I'm smiling, right? Because it engages my competitive spirit. And what usually ends up happening is I beat the deadline, right? I beat the deadline because that's just my personality. But then it also gives me structure. Every single day, I know for 2 hours, I have to, and I'm making it the same time every day in the evening. For 2 hours, I organize some portion of some room. I move that project forward for 2 hours every day. So I learned this when, well, I've heard it before. I didn't figure this out. It didn't come from me. I've heard about 30-day sprints, 90-day sprints before. But where I realized it worked for me in my educational life is when I was in university, when I was in college. I found that when I took summer school to get to my degree faster, that summer school was only like 6 weeks, I think 6 weeks, and you went to school every single day, Monday through Friday, and you had assignments to deliver every single day, Monday through Friday. So there was no time to procrastinate. There was no time to say, oh, that assignment's not due for a week. That education was so truncated into 6 weeks that if you weren't on top of it every single day, you would fail. You would. So what I found about myself is it engaged my competitive spirit. And no lie, every class that I took during a summer school, I got a straight A across the board. Not an A-, not a B+, an A. Because I didn't have time to mess up. I didn't have time to procrastinate, right? And my competition was, the other students in the class who just, it wasn't a good style for them to learn, right? So it was easy for me to get an A because it matched my personality style. So the same thing in business and personal too. Create a sprint, a 90-day sprint, a 30-day sprint, depending on how large your project is, right? So it could be you want to increase, or you want to get 10 bundles into Amazon for Easter, right? Now Easter is April, May, I'm not sure the exact dates, right? But you have 90 days, right? So what do you need to do your market research, your customer-centric research, source products, get the bundles created, do packaging, create a customer or create a custom piece in that? What do you need to do starting today? And how can you break your time up so that every Tuesday and Wednesday you're working on bundles, right? And then make sure you've got a ship date on that so it gets into the Amazon warehouse well before Easter. So whatever your sprint is, and it doesn't have to be one sprint. So I'll work on multiple sprints at a time. So this 12-day sprint is the big one, right? That's the real truncated timeline. But then I've got a 30-day sprint for January and then a 90-day sprint for Q1, right? So when you chunk things down into sprints, you're more likely to meet your deadlines because you've got a hard, fast deadline, okay? And it's also easier to organize your day because you know exactly what you're supposed to be working on. And you can say no to the things that take you away from the things you're supposed to be working on. So create an email. Here's why I have 350 something emails in my Google inbox right now, because I haven't been putting them into folders. I haven't, during Q4, I was lucky to read most of them. So create the email folder system, clear out all your emails and all the folders you have, just get rid of old stuff, and then create a nice clean folder system to organize your incoming mail. Now, when you do that, you can now outsource actioning different folders to a virtual assistant or an assistant, right? Batch your tasks and time. So it could be every morning you batch 2 hours for your physical fitness. Or in the evenings, you batch 1 hour for sourcing and purchasing wholesale, right? Or in the afternoon, you batch 3 hours for product research or training or education, right? So I always batch time during my day for education. If I'm doing something on the computer that's just sort of rote, I will have some sort of education running in the background for at least 2 hours a day. Okay. So create a plan to maximize your skills. What do you want to learn in the new year? Go ahead and write that down. What are some things that you want to get better at in the new year? How can you up your game? How can you increase your skills? Brian Tracy, I believe, calls it sharpening your saw, how to sharpen your saw. If it's not Brian Tracy, please correct me in the chat. I think it is. Sharpen your saw. How to get sharper at something that you maybe don't know at all, or is your natural skill set and you want to get better at. Put that in the chat. And then you want to create an educational schedule. So when you go to university, when you go to college, or you go to high school, what do? They have semesters. And in those semesters, you can choose like 3 or 4 classes. And then when you choose the classes, you get a curriculum of everything you're going to learn, and then you get a class schedule. This is what you're going to study during this week in class. So why not use that curriculum format for your own education? Right? A lot of us buy education and it ends up being shelf help, right? We buy, you know what that is, you buy, you invest in it, and boom, it sits in a shelf or it sits in some inbox and you never do anything with it. But when you purchase a training and you immediately set up, okay, this week I'm going to, the minute I buy training, I'm going to go in and watch module 1. I'm going to go in and watch lesson 1 right away to create that habit. And then for the next 10 days or 5 days, I will watch 1 lesson a day, right? And I will watch 1 lesson a day between 7 and 8 in the morning. That's my education time for that particular. So basically, you're setting up a school for yourself, and you're holding yourself accountable to going to class every day. And that's how you get through your educational material. So what do you want to learn this year? What topics do you want to learn? What programs do you want to learn? What practitioners do you want to learn from? And make a learning schedule. So I'm going to pop over here to the chat and see what you guys are saying in here. So there are really good points. Personal and business gives you a plan to create that start. Go through courses I purchased and work on bundling. Elaine, list out all the courses that you purchased this year. I purchased a bunch towards the end of the year, a bunch. I probably purchased 6 courses, and most of them were around time and project management because I know it's something that I want to get better at. Right? I want to become really skilled at creating systems and processes in my business and managing my time better and outsourcing stuff I should not be doing. So I focused the things that I bought in the past couple of weeks, the programs I bought, mostly on that. I'm also going to be learning Facebook and getting better at private label. I'm headed to a private label event, a 3-day event in Colorado for private label training. I'm very excited about. I'm going back to China in April to meet with more factories and really understand the process of importing. So those are some of the things that I'm learning, or I'm planning to learn in the new year. So get better at creating great bundles. Awesome, Brian. Yep, keep going. Every single day, learn something new towards whatever it is you want to get better at in the new year. So let's just keep going. We're going to go a bit over an hour because I've got a lot of stuff I want to share with you guys, if that's okay with you. So let's just keep going. What to batch? So by batching, I mean batching your time or batching related tasks. So easy is education time. So I could say that I want to batch education time between 9 and 12 every day, between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. or between 9 p.m. and midnight is my education time. And during that time, I'll either follow one program or I'll watch like split it up between 2 different programs. Social media, email processing, that is all the morning for me, right? That's it. That's one of the first things I do in the morning is process social media and email. And then throughout the day, I'm careful not to get drawn back into email and social media until later in the afternoon when my circadian rhythm gets a little bit lower, around 3 p.m., 2:30. Then I'll cycle back around to see who emailed me and what's going on social media and address those things. Team management, that's another thing I do first thing in the morning and then again at night, because like right before I go to bed, like late at night, because a lot of my team is on a different time zone. So team management, I'll batch anything that has to do with outsourcing, reviewing the projects that my team are doing, reviewing the deliverables when they give it back, tweaking it, giving them more instructions. I batch that all in the morning. Marketing tasks, I batch. Marketing could be related to anything, whether it's writing copy for a product or creating a video to market one of my Amazon products on Facebook. Anything that's marketing related, I'll batch at a certain time of day. And the marketing tasks, I need a higher level of being in the zone. So when I write, I get in this writing zone, and if I'm tired, my circadian rhythm is kind of low, I don't even try to write because I know I just have to rework it later. So marketing tasks I will do when I'm at the absolute top of my game, and then I'll batch them all together, and I'll have a list of all marketing tasks related to anything, and I'll do that during that time. Amazon seller account management, content creation, process documentation. So the batching of the process documentation is hard because I've actually got this pretty little notebook, and when I find I'm doing something more than once, I grab the notebook and I write down the individual steps I'm taking. So I can't, and that happens throughout the day and throughout the week. So batching, what I would do, however, is take everything out of that notebook one time a week. I batch all that into an hour time, and then I put it into Excel or Google Docs. Fitness, health, strength training. So around noon every day, in fact, after I get off this webinar, I will be going to the gym. So I batch that time, and it also sort of, when I do like fitness, when I go running, or the creativity part of my brain kind of starts making connections. So that time is also good for creative thinking and coming up with cool ideas and bundle ideas all the time when I'm running, all the time. Social, family time, hobbies. Make sure that you carve out, you've got to schedule that in your schedule, right? If you're anything like me, I've got these hobbies that I wanted to do and I just haven't, because I haven't put it in my schedule as 2 times a week on Tuesday and Thursday for 1 hour in the evenings, I will practice guitar. It should actually be 3 times a week so that I can build up my my calluses, right? And it'll have to be more than 2 times a week. But unless you have it in your calendar, those are the things that tend to get like pushed aside, right? So web surfing, believe it or not, late at night, when I'm sitting with a glass of wine and I've gotten, I've had a full day and I've accomplished a lot, I will start web surfing just to get new ideas into my brain. And it could be news, it could be bundle ideas, it could be crazy niche market ideas, anything to just get my brain sort of filled with data that I hadn't considered before. Reflection and creativity. So I'd say probably once every 2 weeks, I will just get in the car and just go drive somewhere and get in nature. And that's my reflection time and my creativity time. And what usually triggers that is when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling stressed out and I'm feeling like on edge a little bit because I haven't had me time. Then I bet you if I scheduled reflection and creativity time once a week, I would completely avoid that whole burnout thing, right? So that's something for me to consider and for you to consider for the new year. So those are some things to batch. How to overcome overwhelm. How many of you guys are thinking about this as I'm saying all this, right? How to overcome overwhelm. So if you go to dealdivawholesale.com, I have an ebook up on there on how to overcome overwhelm. And you can just search in the search box for overwhelm and you'll find it. So here's a trick. Pick one thing at a time and build it. So it's just not feasible to have 10 major projects going on that you're working on at one time. Now you could, and every day you're doing like a little itty bitty piece of each. But if you want to accelerate how quickly you get a project done, then pick one thing that is the absolute most important. And I'm going to show you in a second the idea evaluation matrix that I use to pick that one thing to help you. So pick one thing and build it, and then put a process on it and outsource it as quickly as possible so you can move on to the next thing. Okay. Systematize your business. That comes to what I just said. Get systems in place, whether they're technology systems or people systems, so you can start detaching from the day-to-day repetitive stuff in your business. Build a team. Tools equals employees. Employees are tools to help you build your business and grow and maintain your business. Get them in place. Implement the 80-20 rule. Focus on the top 20 of your best-selling products and how to sell them better. 80-20 rule is also called Pareto's principle, and it states that 20% of everything you do creates 80% of the results, or 100% of the biggest. And I'm so not saying this right, but so let's use clothing. 20% of the clothing in your wardrobe is what you wear 80% of the time. And the other 80% is just you hardly ever wear it. It's just there. So the same thing, if you look through your inventory, your Amazon inventory or your physical inventory, 20% of all of that inventory are the ones that are outshining, outselling all of the rest. Now think about how you can, if you can't improve, the first thing you want to do is take that other 80% and see if you can bump it up a little bit, right? Make the income from those improve. And if you can't, then you need to wipe clean the stuff that is not selling, will never sell. Get real, be honest with yourself. It's still sitting there. Bite the bullet, get it gone. Then you can focus your energy and time and resources on the things that are doing well and have more potential to do well. Okay, so how to evaluate ideas. Here we go. So list projects or income. Here's what I want you to do. Grab a piece of paper. So you've got a ton of ideas, right? All the things that you want to accomplish in the new year, all the things that you want to have, be, do, right? So just dump a bunch of things on your list. I'm going to show you a really quick tool that you can implement in personal and business called the Idea Evaluation Matrix that you can put together today so that tomorrow you know exactly, at the end of it, you know exactly what you should be working on right away, okay? So everybody got a pen and paper? Get a pen and paper. Here we go. I want you to list the projects or your income ideas. It could be you want to create a training course. You want to learn how to create Facebook ads to drive traffic to Amazon. You want to start selling on other platforms like Shopify or Facebook. You want to create a YouTube channel for product reviews that send people to affiliate links of those products. You want to create a blog in a specific niche so that you can sell your bundles better, right? So whatever it is, whatever those income ideas are, I want you to write a quick list of them, okay? And you can cycle back around and write even more ideas. It could be you want to learn how to do balloon animals because you want to be a clown part-time, right? Nothing is everything is on the table. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Whatever you want to do to generate income in your life. Then, after you have that list, you want to list criteria against which to evaluate them. So one criteria is, can I implement this within 14 days or 30 days? Can I implement this for under $1,000 or under $100? Is this something that I can outsource? So these are all criteria against which you're going to rate your income ideas, okay? So you're going to evaluate your income ideas based on a list of criteria. It could be, is this something that I can have my child do? Is this a project my child can work on with me? Could be a criteria for it, okay? So here is your idea evaluation matrix. And you can just get a big piece of paper, a flip chart, or you can do this in a spreadsheet program. It doesn't matter. You have your rows and columns. Your ideas are going to be on the left-hand side, and your criteria are going to be at the top. So go ahead and just sketch this out, okay? Sketch out real quick. Boom, boom, boom with the lines. Do it on your piece of paper. And write down all the ideas you just generated on the left-hand side. And then you want to brainstorm ideas. Let's say you want to make a list of vacation spots that you and your family would like to visit. And you brainstorm a bunch of ideas like Aspen or Cancun or Arizona or Europe, Italy, right? And you want to list all those places on the left-hand side. Those are all your vacation ideas, and have your family brainstorm them so everybody's got a different idea, right? And you want to narrow that list down to no more than 10 ideas or you get stuck in overwhelm again. Then you want to brainstorm a list of the criteria that are important to you so you can evaluate your ideas against them. So let's say you and your spouse want to go on a vacation, a holiday, and you want to spend under $3,000 to do it. So one of your criteria is cost less than $3,000 total. Okay, it's something you can do for a weekend. Let's say you want a weekend getaway. It's something where you can ski, or it could be somewhere where there's a beach and warm, right? So whatever your criteria are going to be the things that you put at the top of that matrix. And this is going to help you prioritize which ideas to start with which ideas are a no-go, but then it'll also give you a priority of which ones you can do now, which one you're going to start with, and then which ones you can do after that one's done and after that one's done. So it's not a set in stone. Once you fill out this matrix, it's not a set in stone. It just helps you get clarity on what you should do right now. Okay, so let's take a look. Draw out a piece of paper, draw it out on a piece of paper, best ideas on the left side, criteria at the top. All right, so before I show you the finished matrix, go ahead and put in the chat what are some of the ideas that you've generated to put in that matrix. Go ahead and put it in the chat. What are some of the income generating ideas that you want to follow in the new year? So it could be that you want to build out a blog in a niche market, like I said, or it could be that you want to create a training program or create a Kindle ebook, or build your own brand through private label. Xmas bundle for children's book, blanket. Okay, so Elaine, great. Let's just take Xmas, Christmas off of there, and you say you want a children's book, a blanket. You want to create a bundle with children's books and blankets, and maybe theme them for different years or for different holidays, right? What else? What else do you guys want to try? Maybe a Kindle book. You want to get better at merch designs. Maybe you want to do more print on demand clothing, right? Everything goes. So whatever it is you want to do, you're going to put that in your matrix. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen over here. Okay. Someone says more Amazon print on demand, sell on 2 Amazon platforms. There you go. That's a great idea. How can you sell on more than just Amazon.com? Amazon Australia opened up, guys. Huge potential for that. Print on demand, not even started yet. Like to create my own private label organization products. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to sharing the screen, and I'm going to show you a finished matrix. Here's what it looks like. So this is the blank one, right? Here's your criteria 1, criteria 2 at the top. Here are your ideas here on the left-hand side and your criterias. Now, let me tell you about the grading system a little bit. Now, here's what I use, because I don't like to use numbers, although some of you left-brainers who love numbers like I do are going to want to, you're going to be compelled to add up the numbers of the column and let that be your guide what to start first. But there's a little bit of kind of an esoteric, soft instinct feel to choosing your first idea. So what I do is I put a smiley face. If idea 1 meets my criteria, I put a smiley face, like yay. And then if it doesn't, I put this. Or you can also use a plus and a minus. And then on the question, put a question mark or a 0 if I'm not quite sure if it meets the criteria. Maybe with a little tweaking of the idea, I can make it meet that criteria. But you want to have a little bit of that soft. So even though something looks like, if you've got like 1 or 2 ideas that are neck and neck, one of them, when you look at it, you just know you want to do it, right? So you make sure that you're not using numbers to evaluate your criteria. You're using like plus, minus, question mark, or a happy face, sad face, and a neutral, okay? So here's what it looks like using vacation ideas. So these are some ideas that we came up with: surfing in the Cayman Islands, Caribbean cruise. See, it says need more info. Week in a Tuscan farmhouse, which is personally what I would choose. Hiking in Costa Rica, I would choose that one too, right? Disney in Shanghai, that actually kind of sounds interesting. Teaching English in Swaziland. And what else? The last one I can't see here, but round the world city hopping. So now I want to put my criteria at the top where it says adult only, costs less than $1,200 per person. Is it warm and sunny? It has water sports. It has mountains, and I can get luxury accommodations. So out of all of these, you see how I took each idea and I want to cross the criteria, and I rated how well each criteria met each of these ideas. So a week in a Tuscan farmhouse, adult only, probably is going to cost me with airfare, travel, everything, more than $1,200 a person. Sometimes it's warm and sunny, sometimes not this time of year. It has water sports, definitely not. It has mountains. It's got some hills, but not mountains. And it's certainly not going to be a luxury accommodation, but if I wanted to change this to rustic accommodation, I could, right? But it looks like surfing in the Cayman Islands is meeting all of my criteria, but let's look at one that was close. Hiking in Costa Rica. It could, with winter deals, you can, under $1,200 a person, you can do like the whole hotel flight deal thing. Just do a little research. It's warm and sunny. It has water sports. Well, it could. And here's why we put the neutral in here. because we could hop down to the ocean and do some water sports after done hiking, right? It has mountains and luxury accommodations, not sure, but I bet if we paid a little bit more, we could get luxury accommodations. So it just means that you need to do a little bit more research when you have this kind of neutral. And then one that didn't work out is teaching English in Swaziland was just across the board not a good idea, right? So all this does, now we can just change the criteria in order to change the outcome of this matrix. Now, if you were to put business ideas on the left-hand side, and then your criteria could be, it costs less than $100 to launch, or I can get it going for under $1,000. I can outsource it. I can launch within 30 days. I can have, this will be regular monthly income. Will it create residual income for me, which is automatic income that comes in over and over once you create it once, like maybe print-on-demand products, etc. So once you put your criteria up here, then you can start pumping in your ideas and evaluating which ones are going to best meet your immediate criteria, and choose one thing to create a 90-day sprint or a 30-day sprint or a 60-day sprint and work on right away. So I know that's a lot of information. Let me go over to the chat here and see how you guys are doing. Okay, build a bundle, expand my party rental business. Ooh, interesting. And then Gerald, you know, we're kind of at the hour, but I'd love to, I'll think about how to do maybe another training, maybe not a live webinar, but a training so you guys can go through it again on what do you do with all of these ideas? How do you create a project plan for each idea and then break them down so that each day you're working on, and you've batched your time so that you're working on that project to get it done within that sprint period. So that'll be another webinar, because I don't want to keep you guys too long. I just wanted to give you an idea of how to finish your year up nice and strong and then get a fresh start for the new year. So any other questions in the chat? I want to make sure that I'm respecting your time. You guys can go find me at bundlemasterclass.com. There's a bunch of free articles and videos on there about how to create profitable bundles for selling on Amazon and your own website. And then Deal Diva Wholesale. You guys know that I do a lot of wholesale sourcing, and then I leverage a lot of those wholesale orders into bundles so that I can own my listing, and I'm also learning private label. So if you go to dealdivawholesale.com, there's a whole bunch of articles and videos about how to negotiate wholesale deals, and how to get the edge over other wholesale sourcers, so how to source wholesale as an Amazon seller. So you can go to bundlemasterclass.com, dealdivawholesale.com, and you can download a bunch of free and watch a bunch of free content on both of those. Be sure to join my mailing list so that when I have new content, you get a little ding on that. You get a little email on that. So what other things do we have in the chat here? So awesome. I will absolutely do it. So do you guys have any questions at all on how to end this year strong and start your new year in just a couple of days fresh? You have any questions in the chat? My name is Barbara Drazga, and again, you can find me on bundlemasterclass.com and dealdivawholesale.com. If you have any questions whatsoever, please put them in the chat right now, and I will do my best to answer them. Okay, I will wait just a half a second. So if you guys, again, have any questions, hit me up on Facebook, Barbara Drazga, D-R-A-Z-G-A, and you can also join facebook.com/groups/DealDiva, D-E-A-L-D-I-V-A, and you can put your questions and your thoughts and even add your own, because you guys are wealth of information in and of yourselves, right? So put your ideas on how to do project management and goal setting in facebook.com/groups/DealDiva. Go ahead and post in there your best ideas so that we can learn from each other. So great webinar. You provided some awesome content. I'm really glad that I was able to help. So thank you very much, everybody, for being on here. Again, my name is Barbara Drazga. If you have any questions, hit me up on Facebook or go to my websites and join my newsletters, and we will see you. Let me go back to the chat. Okay, so Vicky says, forgive yourself for things you think you weren't good at or didn't handle well in the previous year and move into the new year with a clear life. If I had to choose a sentence to end this webinar with, that was it. From Vicky Henderson, she says, forgive yourself for the things you think you weren't good at or didn't handle well in the current year, and move into the new year with a clear life. Thank you, Vicki, very much. I appreciate that sentiment. That was a beautiful post. That was a beautiful comment, and I'm glad that we can end this webinar on that lovely sentiment. Thank you all. Wishing you an incredible new year, and I will talk to you soon.